y'all, it's your girl Xzeria back again with a new video with the series, I should say, of Single and Waiting. If you're new, go ahead and check out the previous videos. But this week, the topic is praying while you're waiting. Praying while you're waiting. And I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's dear to my heart. Prayer works. Let's start with that. Prayer works. So whatever you're hoping for, whatever you're wishing and asking God for, make sure that you're praying and spending time with Him, intentional prayer with Him. Prayer can look different ways depending on who you are in your relationship with God. There's no specific way to pray. It's just about you spending time and speaking with God and also taking a moment to listen for Him to talk back to you. So you should be, I want to emphasize that you should be praying during every step of this season. During every part of this season, you should be praying. And you should be praying during every part of your life as well, whenever, even when you move into your next seasons. But this is a time where you can really discover prayer and discover God in prayer and discover or build that relationship with God during this beautiful time of singleness. So when I say pray during every moment, I mean to really pray. So if you are in the stage where you're not dating, pray for direction. Pray for God to help you find your purpose, help you find what He put you on this earth to do. If you have just gone through a heartbreak, pray through that. Pray for God to heal your heart. Pray for God to help you understand why you went through that and what you can learn from that. I remember ending things with people in my past and really just turning to God and allowing Him to pour into me and help me see, okay, God, what can I learn from this past relationship? How can I be better in my next one? So it's really important for you to pray through that heartbreak season, because if you spend time with God, He's gonna heal those wounds. And more than that, He's gonna give you direction and He's gonna give you a new hope for the future. So make sure you're praying for that as well. And for me, another big part of my singleness season, I have spent a lot of time praying for my spouse. I have spent a lot of time, and I know that is something that is pushed a lot, to pray for your spouse, and I am pushing it too. Pray for your spouse wherever they're at. Pray for them, because you don't know what things they're going through, what issues they may be facing. So whatever God leads on your heart to pray for them. There have been moments where I have been led to pray over certain things for my spouse, and I don't know where he is. I am intrigued to find out whenever I do meet him, and speak about the times that I did pray, because I wrote it down sometimes when God would lead me to pray over certain situations and certain things. I would write it down and kind of date it so I could go back in the future and look at it. But just pray over your spouse. Pray that God protects their heart. Pray that God is continuing shaping and molding them for you. Pray that God continues guiding you guys to each other. Pray that you guys meet in God's timing. Just continue praying over maybe if you want to pray over their family. Another thing that I prayed over in the past is our future children. I pray for a covering over our children, because this world is crazy. So I want to make sure that I'm at least trying to cover them even before they enter this world. And then one of the biggest things I do want to say for you to pray on during this season is you. Pray over you. Pray that God leads you. Pray that God molds you. Pray that God continues molding and shaping you into the woman you need to be for your spouse. Because as I've said, I believe in previous videos, sometimes we get so focused on the I that, or not the I, but on the, well, what is he going to be like? And what is he going to look like? And how is he going to be? That we forget that we have to be prepared for him whenever he does arrive, or her, for my men that are watching. So make sure you're praying over who you become. God, ask God to lead you and continue growing you and pulling you and molding you for who He is calling you to be, and who your either husband or spouse needs you to be. Because we don't know the type of, like, I could say that I want to be this type of wife and I want to be able to do these certain things, but I don't know who my husband is. I don't know who my husband is praying. Well, I know he's praying for me, but I don't know what his desires are. But I believe that they're going to match with who I am, but I don't know what type of wife. I have to take a moment and really sit and say, okay, am I really the wife? I'm not the wife. Am I really the person that my husband is praying for? Am I that Proverbs 31 woman? Let me repeat. Am I that Proverbs 31 woman? Because it's easy to say, I want to be a Proverbs 31 woman, but you got to read the scripture. You got to read the verse. You got to read the chapter. And really see, okay, do I align with this woman that's being described? Because a lot of men will say they want a Proverbs 31 woman, and we'll say, great, here I am, but are you really that woman? And God humbled me. God really humbled me in this season and said, okay, you're hoping and longing for your husband, but are you a wife? Are you a wife? Are you really prepared for what your husband's praying for? And I had to take a moment and sit back and say, God, I don't know. Lead me to be the woman he's praying for. And I really believe over these past, especially over this past year, that he has really just shaped and molded me into whoever my husband is praying for. Whatever my husband is praying, or whoever my husband needs. That's a better way to say it. Whoever my husband needs, God has really been shaping. He's been just growing my heart and building and changing my heart and changing some characteristics about myself that needed growth. He's been helping me to discover ways to deal with conflict and deal with things that when people say things that I don't like, sometimes in my past, I would get upset, and sometimes I wouldn't speak about it. I would just hold grudges. So he's helped and build me away from growing grudges. And I really believe it has to do with the fact that I was praying, okay, God, continue molding and shaping me for my husband. Continue shaping and molding me for my marriage. And in that prayer, I didn't know what I was asking God to do, but he did, and he heard the prayer, so he did what I asked him to do. So like I said, I have not met him yet, but I pray that this is a testimony video that whenever I do meet him and whenever I do get into my marriage season, you can look back at this video and say, wow, she really was who, or I can not look back, but I can tell you guys to come back and look at this video, or I can reference this video and say, I remember praying to be the person that he was longing for, and I met, or he was praying for, and that God he needed, and when I met him, I was that person that he was looking for, and God was leading him to. So just be very intentional in your prayer life in this waiting season, because prayer changes things. Prayer really prepares you for things. Prayer is so powerful, and all you have to do is just take time and do it. One last thing I want to say to pray for. Pray over your future marriage. If you want a God-centered marriage, pray for that marriage. Pray for God to cover your marriage, because even future prayers work. Because there have been times where I remember in my past praying over certain things and not really knowing what I was praying for, and then walking into it and it being everything that I was praying for. So just be intentional in this time. Be intentional in this time of praying and waiting, because like I said, the wait is not just waiting. You're not just sitting around twiddling your thumbs and waiting for God to bring you somebody. You should be intentional in your waiting season so that you are prepared and equipped to have a strong marriage and a strong relationship and be who God called you to be. It's so important. It's so important to be intentional in this season, because just because you move into your marriage season doesn't mean that your purpose goes away. It doesn't mean that what God has for you changes. I mean, I don't want to say that your life won't change, because it will, because it's a different season. Being married and being in that covenant with somebody is completely different. And I can't talk about it because I'm not in it yet. But I do know, based on watching godly marriages and even listening to my parents' marriage and seeing them and hearing their advice and hearing other advice from other couples, marriage shifts everything. So be intentional in this season and use this season for preparation. And like I said, I'm probably going to make a video on preparation for your marriage season, because God had to take me through that too. But just be intentional and pray. Pray during this season. It's very important that you pray during this season. So with that being said, I do have a song for this week. The song is, and you've probably heard it, but it's very important because this is the waiting season. It's Wait on You by Maverick City. Wait on You by Maverick City. Like I said, you probably heard it before, but it's a very good song, and it's just something to keep pushing you to wait on your spouse. Even when you look around and it just feels like so much time is being like just gone and you don't see what you're praying for. Wait on God to do what only God can do. Wait on God to be God. Wait on him. So Wait on You by Maverick City is the song of the week. And then last but not least, I want you to know that you are beautiful, you are smart, you have a purpose in this world, and you are worth what God has for you. So I pray that you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you back here next week for another video. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and then comment maybe some of the things that you're praying for. So maybe in the future you can come back and look back at what you commented, or I can speak or pray with you, because I don't mind praying with you praying over what you're looking for God or asking for God to do. So take a moment to comment that if you would like, and then subscribe to make sure that you are up to date on all the videos and to keep building with me, because I would love for you to join this family with me. I pray that you have a wonderful rest of your week, as I said before, and I'll see you back here next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye.